Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else, and what I would like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and future Titan today, Donny Coram. Donny, thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
it means a lot. Thank you.
This is an honor. I know that there's so many people that are really excited and anticipating this episode. So just want to go through the series of questions, let everybody know who you are as a man, a professional, and just get to know you a bit better. That's cool. So let's just dive right in.
Sounds good.
So tell everybody a little about yourself, Donny.
Well, I guess I would be as close as you can call as a Colorado Springs native. Liberty High School, class of 95, go Lancers. My daughter just started there, so excited about that. Been here a very long time. Prior to that, Brooklyn, New York. My parents were military, so traveled around quite a bit. Ended up here in Colorado Springs, and here we are. So that's kind of some of the background. Been in real estate for a very long time, but 20 plus years in sales, from technical sales to commercial to whatever you can think of across the board, and ended up in real estate. Just kind of loved it, and that's where I chose to hang out.
Wow, so, and that's fantastic. There's tons of info into there with your background, family, that sort of thing. So what actually got you into real estate, Donny? Because you talk about your sales background and that, but what about real estate? What's your path?
So it's a good story. I'm sitting doing the tech world, and I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, always wanted to do it, but I'm working as a software guy, and sitting down with one of my IT coder buddies, it'd be fun, we should flip a house. So we go out and we buy ourselves a house knowing nothing about the process. We're standing in the house, and he goes, "So what do you want to fix first?" And I don't know anything about fixing houses. He goes, "You said you wanted to flip a house," and I like the idea of flipping a house. I don't know anything about flipping a house, so we're standing in there, and we figure out that we don't know much about fixing it. End up selling the property as is. Made a pretty decent check on it, $17,846.38, but who's counting?
38 cents, down to the penny.
I tell you, it was exciting. And the bug bit. I decided that's what I wanted to do with my life. So in a very short time, I didn't fit well in the corporate world. Okay. Everybody knows who does this industry. Once you really feel what real estate's power is, both economically and personal freedom, etc., it's hard to stay in the corporate world. So I got out and kind of been doing it ever since.
And that's huge into that. And I think that I remember just kind of tracking back to years ago when I first met you, Donny. I mean, just your personality and your charisma and just your outgoing nature, but kind-hearted. I mean, and just, again, a reminder for everybody knows that everybody who's on this show, there's a reason why they're considered a titan. It's not just overall production. It's not just volume or commission checks. It's about impact, community, really what you do and what you care. And you just feel that. I mean, anybody who knows this guy who's been around, they can just feel that energy. Hopefully you're feeling some of that through the camera here. Okay, but thanks for sharing that into the story. So let's talk about your why, Donny. I mean, there's a lot that you've done and accomplished in your career with your clients and your family and into your future, but what gets you out of bed in the morning? What really motivates you to do what you do?
It really is a family thing. Like we are. I mean, at the end, it all started with my daughters. Like a big thing was just being able to provide a great life for my kids. And I think a lot of people get in this industry for that. But then it elapsed from there. And now it's about we have a core focus on our team that is improving the world through our people, our clients, and our community. And it covers a lot of facets. At the end of the day, we have people who work with us, do well in the industry, and are able to make changes in their own lives, right? Through our clients who need this knowledge, the market knowledge, the assistance to know what their property is worth. And Lord knows with all the changes that are going on in the marketplace, being able to provide that data is crucial. And then when I was a kid, real estate agents were rock stars, right? They were the ones throwing the big community parties, and I remember the huge barbecues with I remember the Remax balloon was out there. This is how real estate was formed in my mind. So being able to make an impact to our people, our clients, and our communities was a big part of why I did this. And that's my why now. I want to be a part of growing this industry, helping people to get started in it, to adapt within the industry, and it changed with these really turbulent times we're having in the real estate market today.
Okay, and that's a beautiful why, and that all comes down to people and community, and it sums up your brand and what you've done and continue to do beautifully out there for everybody. So when you're talking about giving back, and I think a lot of that has to do with education into the future of real estate as well, to see that progression. So if you could look back on your career thus far and give any of the viewers out there, whether they're new or seasoned in the business, a piece of advice, or if you can look back pinpoint a few things that you adjusted in your career thus far that took it from one level to the next. What does that look like?
I think one of the biggest thing we did is first starting at the same time every single day. This is a business, it's not a hobby. And I think a lot of people get into this business because, hey, it's better than getting a real job, right? You roll to bed when you want, you can do what you want when you want, and that makes up 90% of the agents out there. And no offense if that's people out there, that's okay, right? But
Sure.
a big game changer in going from a typical agent production of 4 to 5 units, which is average, to being able to sell over 100 units in a year was getting started at the exact same time every morning. We do our sales meeting 8 o'clock sharp. We get together and we get started. There's a culture piece that comes from transferring from being an agent to being a company of agents. And the culture piece for us was positive focus.
Love that.
Every single morning we get started, we go around the room, we talk individually about something going on in your day. Now the idea of that was to set you up for prospecting for the morning, right?
Okay.
That big, eating the elephant, if you were, the thing that nobody wants to do.
Sure.
We cold call every single day. We get started in the morning together. But if your mindset's not in the right place, you're not going to make it, right?
Well said.
So positive focus gets you into that mode. Going around the room and building those culture pieces so people understand we all have our struggles, but there's got to be something good going on in your day at this point, right?
Sure.
If not, what's the point of getting out of bed? Why are you here at all?
Right.
The next big piece of it was role playing. Getting together and talking about being a real estate agent. This is if you imagine we're in politics or law or any line of work, if you're more rehearsed, if you're more polished at what you're doing, you're going to sound more like a professional, which is going to mean you're treated more like a professional.
Agreed.
So a big game changer for myself and my team was the role playing session. We blocked off just about an hour or two a week. It wasn't a huge amount of time, but we'd get together, we'd sit down, and we'd pitch each other back and forth. Give me the buyer presentation. Give me the listing presentation. Listening to it, and it was funny, right? Just talking about it's kind of amusing because you're going to screw up, right? You're not going to be on every single time, but that's where it's polished.
Sure.
And unfortunately, most agents get their practice in real world environments. They figure out how to pitch while they're pitching, right? And if you get enough of that, you'll get good at it. But I think the better time to practice your craft is role playing. So we rehearse constantly. Work on the presentation. Know what you're going to say before you say it. That way, when it's show time, it's go time, you know the pitch exactly. You sound like a professional. You're far more likely to get the deal. And that had a massive impact on developing my new agents and even myself, getting a feel for, this is where I'm good, but this is where I could improve, recording it and playing it back and perfecting that model. It's been awesome for us.
Right. And there's a lot in there. So everybody, there's so many takeaways. The consistency, time blocking, really having that energy together as a team is extremely helpful. We are guilty by association, positive or negative. So obviously bringing the right people on board, and then practice makes perfect. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? People say that all the time. That's the facts when it comes down to it. Any top professional is consistent. I don't care if you're an athlete, you're a musician, you're a business professional, it's all practice. One of my favorite books, we're kind of off topic here, but Donny, you're like spinning my mind. Hopefully everybody's spinning out there too. So one of my favorite books, Talent is Overrated, talks specifically about that. You know what I mean? And to me, that is perfect. So if you guys haven't caught that book, I think it's Jeff Coven. I'll put it down in the comments below, but I think that's a really good one. So that's great advice for everybody. Anything else? I'm sure you can just go all the way.
That's a big one. You could definitely spend a lot of time on that. But another thing was the giving back. And what really changed the business was the compassion program. And I'm a devout believer. And I also believe that we are in a position right now where, like I said, real estate agents were rock stars in my era. Yeah. And we're still rock stars today, but sometimes I think we forget. We forget that we have a responsibility. Well, the compassion program that we have at our company, it's a small percentage thing, but I think every company, ours especially, should give back just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. People, you have your charity, your give back, whatever it is, whether it's a local community thing or a national charity. A big game changer, what affected our culture and really propelled us to the top, was the compassion program and picking for us it was a local charity. It was anonymous. We were big on picking someone that had no idea, an example of a guy, his electric bill was about to get shut off, right? And one of our agents knew about it and just kind of brought it into our attention. The rule was, we'll do it, but you can't mention the team. You can't mention the firm. It has to be something we do quietly. If you're doing that, the culture piece forms around that. People like to be superheroes, if you will, right? Yeah. This allows you to save the day, but leave your mask mask on. It doesn't need to be about attention or selling the next house, but just having that extra piece really propelled our culture to a level that helps us sell a lot more properties.
Wow, and that's beautiful. Real Titan here, everybody. I mean, you can't make this up. This is beautiful stuff. So I think that's a really, really great stuff for everybody to take away and really scale and accelerate their business with so many of those key points. So that was really, really great. Hopefully everybody took notes. So let's go to the tricky part of this interview and these particular episodes is the challenge question.
Sure.
So Donny, at the end of the day, we all deal with challenges, whether it's in the past, right now, or into the future. No one is exempt from that. So if you could look back at a time in your life that you dealt with a challenge, that you overcame, that you become stronger because of it, what does that look like for you?
I went through an incredible divorce. I mean, an incredibly messy divorce, I guess I should say. It was just an absolute train wreck, and a lot of people were around. A lot of great agents out there, hopefully, were watching. Were there as part of it. My partner was there as part of it. My now wife was part of it, and it was just a very difficult time. When you're going to the divorce system, you know right out of the gate that men are kind of slanted in that system, so custody battles are definitely not going in your favor. So here I am fighting to maintain my business, my livelihood, and what's left of my family at the same time.
Right.
It was a disaster, and I wish I could say I handled it better, but I didn't. It was just one of those things you have to get through as you get through it.
Okay.
But how did I do it? You go back to the consistency piece, really. At the end of the day, this is still a job, and thank God for the mentors I had, the coaches I had around, the agents who were there, my business partner who stuck by me, who allowed me to get through this by sticking through it in the midst of really not wanting to be a part of this life anymore. And I think a lot of people have a story somewhere in there where they didn't want to do this at all anymore, right? But we pushed through it. You push through it, you get through it, and honestly, I'm a much stronger person as a result because of the persistence that comes from being able to work through these issues. We're all going through something. And this business throws stuff at you. I was writing an article about the phases of going through real estate for that first 2 years. I think almost everybody's going to go through some kind of personal issues during their time building a business. Real estate agents are known to have one of the highest divorce rates of any industry out there. Our schedules and income are unpredictable. The stress level can be insane. Some relationships can survive it, some cannot,
Right.
So, but getting through it with persistence, you're just going to stick through it. This is going to end, no matter what you're going through now, economically, financially, personally. This is a phase, and you get through it. And this business is so awesome in the end. The financial freedom, the personal freedom, the ability to change the world, improve the world through what we do here. If you combine all of that, it's worth it. And it's just to be part of it, have gone through it, and I'll be on the other side and hopefully able to mentor somebody else who's going through something like, I want to get out of the business. Don't. There's a lot of change you can still make from this position. You just got to push through those situations.
I think that's a beautiful note that you mentioned. Even going through something as difficult as a relationship ending and then moving forward and going on, you were at a point in your life where you said, hey, maybe this isn't it for me. I should be moving on. And you didn't, Donny. The point is, I think that hopefully everybody takes this away. No matter what you're going through, keep moving forward.
Yes.
Keep pressing on. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And we all deal with things. So, I appreciate you sharing that, Donny, because there's so many times where we all have maybe a bad day, and we're thinking, oh gosh, this is horrible. So many others have it so much worse. And we just need to be blessed and fortunate to what we have in our lives.
Yes.
And know that it is worse out there. Just keep
Somebody's
going.
got a worse
Be happy.
situation. And I was blessed in that I was at Synergy Realty at the time with Charles D'Alessio, and just an awesome broker owner to have there. Your leadership really counts at this point,
Right.
because they're obviously different types of broker owners out there. There are those who are purely in it for the money, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You got to run a business. Sure. And there are those who really take the time out to care, and I can tell you that made a huge difference in why I was able to stay in the industry, is knowing that my ownership, the leadership team that I was working with, really took the time to mentor me through that personal stuff and also keep the business afloat, so you can kind of get a little balance on both, which was really important.
Okay,
Thanks,
cool.
Charles.
Yeah, shout out to Charles, by the way, if you're watching. But thanks for sharing that, Donny. It's not easy to air that out in front of everybody, so appreciate that very, very much. So let's go to a softer side.
Yeah,
it's actually one of my favorite questions. We made it through, everybody.
I said I wasn't going to cry.
the tears. So if you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Donny? And this could be at any age range.
I'll revisit the consistency piece because I really feel like if I could go back, I think everybody's careers kind of start in the same place. This is better than having a real job, right? And that's where I was for the first 3 years comfortably. It was, I kind of showed up at the office at 10. I would do real estate, if you will, for a couple of hours, and I was home in time to catch Dr. Phil at 3.
Sure.
That's a reality in most people's marketplace, and it's not a bad thing. What I figured out is when I did consistent effort, I got consistent results.
Love that.
My agents are always on this income roller coaster when they don't have the consistency piece, right? You have a great couple of months, you close a bunch of deals, then you find yourself wondering where the next paycheck is coming from. That doesn't add just stress to your wallet.
Sure.
That adds to your family stress, that adds to your life stress, and it makes you seem more desperate in front of your clientele. So consistency. If you're gonna prospect, which you gotta prospect,
right.
you gotta do it every single day. 3, 4, 5 days a week, an hour, 2 hours, whatever you're gonna do, set your own schedule and stick by it. If you're gonna door knock on a consistent schedule, right? Do your follow-ups on a consistent schedule. If I could go back and grab myself and go, you idiot, please,
young Donny, come on.
do this right away, And I tell you what really helped with that is getting a coach. Because if I could go back and talk to myself and get somebody to mentor me right out the gate, once I had somebody kind of following my progress, the consistency piece became a lot easier. And
love that.
my coach was virtual, Lars, but what we try to provide on our team is that local coaching piece, right?
Okay.
Where we're going to be here for you and kind of make you do stuff you don't want to do every single day.
Make you uncomfortable.
We need to make you uncomfortable,
Yeah,
right? Because that's how you're going to get there. But you got to be consistent.
Okay.
Get a mentor or coach, a solid broker owner, however you do it. I think if I could just grab myself and go get the right leadership team so you can build the consistency out of the gate, I'm doing well, but I'd be far ahead of my current career status if I had done that.
Wow, this is huge, and not just for young Donny, but for everybody out there who's watching. I mean, this is monster advice to really be consistent, block out that time, and then have that mentorship. I mean, no one does it alone. Anybody who says they do, I don't believe it. I mean, really, you need to surround yourself with smarter, better, faster people.
Absolutely.
And grow and learn, and then at some point, give back. Do the same thing what has been given to you. So I think that's really, really great stuff.
And there's some great teams out there. There's a bunch of teams that are, like you look at the Johnson team, some of the bigger players that are out there, Tiffany Lockton. There are people who have formed organizations around training their agents on how to get more consistent. Yeah, there's a split involved, but I think there's a lot of value in every young agent to seriously consider going on a successful, productive team, at least for the first couple of years in the business. The idea of the whole broker model was that you work for a brokerage, you're getting mentorship for the first 2 years, and then you go out, you get your employing broker license and work from there.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, some brokers are very strong mentors, and some are kind of, as long as the desk fee is getting paid, I'm in peace with whatever you do. It doesn't matter to me in the slightest, right?
Right.
There's both worlds out there. We formed a real estate school inside of our organization with the idea of taking people completely from layman, like knowing nothing about real estate, and starting them off with mentorship.
Huge.
And it was awesome because we had agents who within the first week of passing their test were writing that first deal because they'd already learned prospecting, they'd already learned lead generation, they learned a little about contracts,
Right.
but contracts aren't important till you have one to write.
Sure.
Right? So first you got to work on lead gen strategies, and the key to that is prospecting and the unfun stuff that nobody wants to teach or learn out there. We kind of built that with our real estate school. Get your license is a piece of it, but learning how to use it was a really crucial component. We pride ourselves on having brought in a lot of rookies, many of which went on to very successful careers in real estate. Wow. They followed the tutelage. They're not necessarily with us anymore, but they followed the guidance. They're doing well to this day. And a lot who didn't want to adapt these strategies of consistency and training, consistent prospecting, most of which who have left the industry at this point.
I think that you mentioned that point about bringing on even some newer professionals and really grooming them and showing whether you're new or seasoned. There was a fellow Titan that you mentioned just a little bit ago, and what he said, and he'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but he always brings on what he considers empire builders. He wants to bring on those people. He's not worried that they're going to go and move on. That's okay. Right. If they go and move on to bigger and better and different things, you've done your job as a mentor, as a leader. So, and successful people want to see more success.
That's so true.
So, and I know that there are a lot of leaderships that are in that fearful mode and not so much in the abundance mode. Yes. So, not your problem, Donny, but
well,
you know what I mean.
And Monica, I think, is a great example. Obviously, a fellow Titan as well. And just watching her interview about how it really is about helping people form a career and a future in this business. The whole Pink Realty structure really was built around of course, she's the number one agent, but it was building, this is how you get there. This is the path to follow. And so few people are willing to work in the quote-unquote shadow of their mentor, but that should be the idea, right?
Yes,
Get started under somebody who's making it, learn the business. Don't stay under that umbrella forever. That's not the goal.
Sure.
But once you have the confidence, a couple of years of experience, and you've learned the business, then you go out there, and any good team leader is going to want to see their proteges leave them and accomplish great things on the way out. That was always our passion and focus, that we really wanted to be a part of that growth.
That's huge. This is great, everybody. So let's go into the next question, because a lot of people are always excited about learning what the Titans are feeding their minds, right? How are they growing and constantly being the best of the best? So when it comes down to books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, maybe influencers or coaches on social media, what does that look like for you, Donny?
Sure. Well, starting with books I'm reading, Traction is kind of our guiding principal book that kind of runs the whole company. And Traction it talks about the entrepreneurial operating system, right? Okay. EOS for short. The idea behind is looking at this in any business as a organization. Like, we have iOS on the Apple iPhone, you got Microsoft Windows. You have to have an operating system that guides the principle of the business. And that's where we came up with our value proposition, our core focus, our core values, and the things that we have that we've laid out in place, so we're not just missing, you're not just kind of wandering across the mark. We're trying to find out what drives this company, what builds it. Is when we lived by those core values, we saw massive growth. And honestly, when we got away from it for a short period of time, we saw that growth stagnate. So we're trying to reel that back in and figure out, where did we go wrong? What are we missing out on? Like, well, what pieces are we missing? So it is so important. Traction is an incredible book. I highly recommend it. Gino Wickman, I believe, is the author on that. So I would highly recommend that. As for social media influencers, you and I share a love of Gary Vaynerchuk for sure.
Absolutely.
Like a huge Gary V guy. I'm buying the shoes. I'm just, I gotta get the shoes. I think it's awesome. But what I love about it is there's no nonsense. Like, eyeballs right now are the currency that we're working off of, right? How much attention can we gather? This is true whether you're in real estate, whether you're a dentist, whether you're the Kardashians, whatever it is they provide, I'm not sure exactly. But whatever it is you do, the currency is eyeballs, and Gary is teaching us how to get those eyeballs in a useful, monetizable way, right? There's two forms of Facebook. There's this awesome show you're doing, where we get this kind of visibility on great professionals that are out there. Then there's cat videos, right? And everywhere in between, right?
Sure.
So it's kind of
different levels.
Very variable, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ways to get positive focus on yourself now, and the people that you're working with. The opportunities out there, Gary's really showing us how to do that, and I think that's incredible. So, big thing. So, yeah, reading Traction, watching Gary V, love Tim Ferriss. I love I know it's a big part of what you do here, the Tim Ferriss model, but listening to the people who have already made it, that podcast gets me going. Actually, a high school buddy of mine, Bozma Arthur, was on the show. She went to Liberty High School, same class I did, and so I got to listen to that interview. Just incredible that she's made it to that level, and Tim Ferriss is interviewing her. But the story that you get to hear from the people that he interviews is just gets me every single time. So really good stuff.
And all that's super great information. Just so everybody knows, I'm going to have a list on the comments down below so you can follow and learn and grow just like Donny's doing. So this is really exciting. Donny, this has been amazing. This has been packed full of information. Awesome. I know everybody's freaking out at this right now. So last question to kind of wrap this whole thing up. If you could look at you as a man, as a brand, and sum you up with a quote or a mantra that you might live by, what does that look like for Donny Coram?
You know, I had a saying I used to say when I was going through the thick of my divorce, and I was trying to get to the next listing appointment and trying to drive myself forward, and it was, I am the future. But that transgressed as we grew a team. And it grew into, we are the future, and it's how we now end all of our daily sales meetings. We get together, put our hands in, Wonder Twins Unite style, and we yell, we are the future on the way out. So that became sort of the mantra, and that carries so many meanings. We are the future of our families, right? We are the future of this industry right now, whatever that may be. Like, we've been beat down by the Zillows of the world. We've been, we are now deciding what's going to happen to the real estate agent. Will we go the way of the insurance agent and the travel agent? Are we heading that direction, or are we going to take this thing back, become the professionals we know we are, and become the future of this industry? In either case, we are in fact the future. So my guiding principle really gets me going all the time is, we are in fact the future. We got to decide what it ends. It's defined within you, and I love that mantra. And honestly, when I need to do that next thing, whether it's get going to the gym or whatever the next thing I'm doing, I do that still. we are the future, right? I got to decide this right now whether I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do it. So that's been my thing.
I love that. And just so everybody else, Donny, I have to do that. We are the future. So we are the future.
We are the future.
This is huge, everybody. This is awesome. Donny, you, again, so blessed and honored to have you on the show. Everybody,
awesome.
you know, it's been an amazing information. You are an official real estate titan, my friend.
Sir, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Greg. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks everybody so much for your time and attention. As always, every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, different titan, different location. I really appreciate your love, attention, and support. We'll catch all you guys in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.